Well, morning everyone, welcome back. It's the first weekend of 2024, and as you've seen maybe off the other video, we have a lot of projects to get on. So first off, we're going to start with this one. We built these a couple of months ago. We built 4 muck heaps for us to put all our excess garden waste and excess horse waste in, but we built 4 so that we can keep moving one to the other, then leave one spare, one to the other, just so that keeps turning the muck as we go on, and so it rots down a bit quicker. So all I'm going to do first is flatten off this ground a bit better than it is with some old gravel that we dug up from over there on another job, and then put some paving slabs down here, then membrane the whole of this, get all the sleepers out the barn, which hopefully we'll get onto today. As this is the first weekend in a long time we've had no rain, we better make the most of it. I need your help me getting the paving slabs. Over to that corner. Yeah. Do you want to put them up or do you want to? I don't think you can need to put it up, I can see. I just don't want to be too high when I go over there because I don't want to be putting loads of big gravel on.
Are they too heavy for me?
What, to lift one?
Yeah. Considering it feels like it's been raining for the last 463 years, Saturday turned out to be absolutely beautiful. It was a cold day, but given how much we were going to be sweating moving all of these stones about, it turned out cold and chilly, which was just perfect.
Woo! Right, well that's the path down. It's not patio quality by any means, but it'll get the barrow up and down to easily get to the muck heaps, and as the ground dries out it probably will move a bit even there, so we'll have to titivate it up as the year goes on. But just if anyone's wondering what these are for, what we're going to do to stop all the compost rolling off onto the path, as we get it so high, I'm going to make some mesh panels to fit in between them, and then these will just wedge them in, so the panels will sit on the inside and these will just wedge in like that. That's why we've left a bit of a gap between here and the compost bins, so then we can put the panel in, the panel will go to there, and then we can actually stack the compost as high as we want really, and then it'll just rot down nicely and when it's ready to use. Right, next job, getting all this membrane down.
So while Stephen's been doing that, I haven't just been stood around watching. I've been grabbing all of the spare black membrane that we've got hanging around. We've got loads in use at the bottom where the pigs were, and we've also got a lot over on the other side of this trellis that we showed you on the last video. We obviously don't want to take that up if we can help it, because that's keeping the weeds from growing, which as soon as this weather lifts, there will any time in about March. So this is kind of all the scraps and odds and ends that we've got. Ideally, we hope there's enough to cover the whole area that Stephen's going to put it on at the moment. I'll let him tell you a little bit more about that and what his plan is. I've just laid it out so we can see how much we've got and what can go where, and we're going to see if we can make it fit.
Right, so the idea is with this, we're going to cover and overlap as much as we can, pretty much all of it ideally, and then we're going to put the veg beds on top of it and then burn out the middle of the veg beds. I know that might be a bit of a waste of membrane, but when we put them veg beds in the background there and then we membraned around them, all the weeds find the way through and they just come up around the sides. It doesn't matter how much you tuck them in or how much you cover them with gravel, the weeds seem to find the way through. So hopefully this way, with the sleepers sitting on it 100 mil on top of the membrane and then all the compost in the beds, the weeds won't find the way through as easy and it'll keep it a lot more maintenance free. And the remainder that's on the outside of the veg, the beds that we're going to put in, that'll obviously be pathways, hopefully big enough so we can get barrows down and out and stuff in. So we don't know what we've got in by the way of railway sleepers yet. So we'll get all this laid down, get all the railway sleepers out, and then we'll just have to mix and match and see what we can do.
I've gone across the full width, yeah.
Over there. It's probably big enough to curl it back, but
We're going to burn the drag the edges off.
yeah.
Got a bit on the path here. On the...
That's alright, that'll tuck under. This end's not as long as that end, but right, what about, I'll leave that there, what about that? Can I?
Not pulling. You're pulling.
No, hang on, well you're pulling here as well. Straighten that out.
Oh, I've got to...
Probably obviously not, it's not cut straight by the looks of it.
No, it's not.
Go in the middle and
Will that be wide enough to make to go like in this bit?
right, or is it long enough to go up there? We'll cover them all like that, I think. Go that way. Cover that raggedy one like that.
You think?
Either way, it's going to cover the same amount, innit? Pull it your way a bit.
What, all?
No, no, that one. Yeah.
Right, well we'll definitely get that once we know what's going where.
Well, I know, but you don't want to.
I know.
Right, so we've got all the membrane down. We will have enough. I know it looks a bit tatty and scraggy at the minute, but when we get all the beds in, we'll burn off all the edges, make them all tidy, tuck them all under, do all the nice titivating up and stuff. But we're a little bit short over there, but that doesn't matter because when we burn the inside of one of the beds out, we'll just put that there. What we're planning on doing around the edges is just graveling it all. So we're going to try and get it up the sides as much as we can, and then we'll put, I don't know, a couple of inches, 3 inches of gravel on all around between the beds and everything, and that should, fingers crossed, keep all the weeds out for a maintenance-free veg bed. So we'll take you in the barn and show you what we picked up off Marketplace.
You seen the robin? Likes to be in.
Right, so as you can see, these are 100 mil by 200 mil railway sleepers, or garden sleepers, whatever you want to call them. We picked these up off Marketplace. These are about 7.5, 8 foot tall. I think we got about 12 or so of them. And then the smaller ones, these ones here, there, I think we got about 18 of them. So we worked out there's about 300 quid's worth of timber here. And just got some lady pulled them out the garden and wanted rid of them. We got them for nothing. So just shows you to do your research, kids, and you can get stuff for nothing. Useful stuff. Right, let's get them out. Bollocks to it. We'll call it 6 by 8. Right. Whew. So the plot's 6 by 8 meters. we've got all the sleepers that we've got out of the barn. We ended up with 14 2.4 metre ones, or 8 foot, which is more than I thought we got, so that's ideal. And then we ended up with 4 of these shorter ones. I think the longest one of them's 7 foot 2.1 metres, and then some little bits. So what we're going to do, we're going to go and get some graph paper, draw out a diagram of roughly where everything's going to go, get a cup of tea, well, a cup of hot water, and then come back out and get to it. Right, we've had a cuppa. This is as far as we've got. And we've both had a piece of paper to come up with something, and long and short of it is, I don't think we've got enough wood. So we're just going to go out and lay them down and then just see how we go from there in the practical side of it rather than on paper. Right, let's go. Right, well, as you can see, we haven't got very far. So we've had these all over the place, all different dimensions and patterns and what have you, but either way we put it, we're going to need more wood. We haven't got enough wood to maximise the space that we've got. We're either leaving 2 bigger paths, so this was going to be 3 thin beds, but then this was going to be a path, and that was going to be a path, and then we've got a big path in the middle if we have 2 big beds at the bottom here. But it's just a waste of like really good growing space. So we're going to finish off with this tonight and leave it as it is, give our brains a rest, try and come up with something else, go inside, check a few places for prices, wood availability, and that's it for out here. I think we're going to have a quick tidy. We've had the horses out, we've had a quick tidy up in the barn, we're going to have a quick tidy up round here, and then we've got a job on in the, well, Tracy's got a job on in the house to do before we finish off. So that's it for out here for tonight, so we'll leave it at that.
Well, although Stephen and I are absolutely shattered, there is one job that we really need to get done tonight. The other day we roasted some beef prawns that Stephen managed to bring home, and then the next morning we popped them into the slow cooker with just with water, with no vegetables or anything. Stephen's actually doing the carnivore diet at the moment, so he can't have anything like that. And this is the result. It's been sat in the fridge, so we skimmed it off. Sorry, not skimmed it off, we popped it through a sieve, and then the resulting liquid we popped into the fridge in this huge bowl so that the fat would solidify on the top. Now, I know it doesn't look very nice at all, but trust me, this is one of the most nutritious things that you can have. And Stephen's going to be having this as a drink. I'm going to be using it in the soups, etc. So what I need to do tonight is get this pressure canned so that it's shelf stable and can just sit there on the shelves in the jars for as long as we want. So I'm going to keep this fat separate, because you can either choose to leave the fat in when you can it, or you could freeze the bone broth, of course. But I'm going to choose to pressure can this, and like I say, you could leave the fat in and it does add more flavour, or you can separate it and use it for cooking. So I'm just going to take the big chunks off, and then we're going to heat up what we need, because tonight over here we've got our instant pot. I'm going to be pressure canning in the instant pot. This only takes 4 500ml jars, but it's absolutely perfect for when you're in the kitchen, you just want to quickly pressure can something. So I'm just going to heat up what we need. So 4 500ml jars is going to be 2 litres. So I'm just going to grab the grab the ladle and then measure out 2 litres so that I can heat it up on the Aga behind me, and then there's no waste, because I don't want to heat up what we're not going to be putting in the jars. So this jug holds 1 litre, so I'm going to measure, sounds disgusting, 2 lots, and on the Aga I've got 4 jars warming through, because really we want to be putting hot stock into hot jars just so there's no thermal shock of the jars and we don't end up with any breakages. Some people will do this from cold, but I'm choosing to do hot jars, hot stock today, and then that'll be absolutely perfect, I'm sure. Now, if you're interested in how we're using the Instant Pot for cannings, this Instant Pot that we've got is specifically for pressure canning. And I know there's quite a few people here in the UK that are interested in doing that. I've got a video coming up where I'm going to be pressure canning chili con carne. So if you're interested, look out for that video, because I'll go into a lot more detail on how to use the Instant Pot for pressure canning. But for now, we've got our jars warming up, because obviously the agar's hot. Lids as well. So as soon as that's heated through, I'll pour it into these jars. They're not sterilised, but again, I'll explain all of that on the next video. Right, that's quite warmed through now. It's starting to steam, so it hasn't taken long at all. I've obviously got a lot more stock that I need to pressure can what's left in this bowl, so I'll get that back in the fridge so it doesn't start souring. So what I'm going to do is, this stock has already been sieved once when we took the bones out and then we sieved it. But because Stephen's going to be drinking this predominantly, I'm just going to sieve it again, just so there's nothing in there that's not desirable for him. I have to do this twice. And then I'm going to grab my warm jars, my warm stock, and just literally pour this in. And then when these jars are full, I'm going to make sure that I wipe around the rims, because if there's any fat or any deposits of anything on the rims around the jars, when you try and create the seal by putting the lids on and subjecting them to pressure, the seal won't happen, or potentially won't happen, and then you've wasted all of that effort of going to canning them. Now, a good tip to clean the tops of the jars with is just regular white vinegar. Cuts through the grease. Make sure that they're nice and clean. Now, my lids are warm as well. Just personal preference. They don't have to be these days, apparently, according to regulations. Again, I'll talk more about that in a different video. Putting all 4 lids on. Now, with these type of lids, these are one-piece lids. You won't find many American pressure canning people using them, but they're a lot more common here in the UK. These are called lug lids, and I've never had a fail with them in terms of sealing in the pressure canner. Right, I'm going to get these over to the pressure canner. So there's a set amount of water that you need to always put in your pressure canner before you pop your jars in. This, I say pressure canner, it's an Instant Pot at the end of the day. You can use it for pressure cooking food. Pressure cooking is totally different to pressure canning, even though we're going to be using the same device. Okay, we've got all 4 in there. Switch it on. Now, to use the canner, it's really simple. It's touch screen. We're just going to put it on a natural vent, so there's different options, natural, pulse or quick. We're going to leave it to naturally vent and set it for 20 minutes, which is the proper amount of time appropriate for these jars and the contents of them. And that's it. Nothing else needed from me tonight. So I'll let you know when this is done, and I'll see you tomorrow. Well, it's Sunday morning and it's another cold start, so we are going to start off with an air fryer porridge recipe. I've never made this before. I normally make porridge just on the hob top with milk and porridge oats. I'm going to give this a try because it sounds really nice. It's classed as a baked porridge and I've never tried it before, so it may be a little bit cakey, but we're going to try it together. I've got a cute little, this was my late nana's bowl, just a one size serving bowl, so I'm going to make it in this because this should be fine. Actually, I need to check that it fits in the air fryer. Made for the job. Right, let's get busy. So we're going to start with 40 grams of oats. We're going to add in 1 beaten egg. Look at this egg. This is from one of our olive egg layers. Aren't they absolutely gorgeous? It's a really small egg, this. It's not kind of your standard size. So if you've got a large egg and you're following this recipe, I would err on the side of caution if you don't like a runny porridge. I'm so looking forward to this. It says that you can add mixed berries in. I don't have any mixed berries to hand. I do have a huge bag of raspberries somewhere, but I need to do a freezer inventory and I haven't done that yet, so goodness knows where they are. And we're also going to add, I actually still need those scales, 100 grams plain yogurt. I've only got a Greek yogurt at the moment. I will start making my own again very soon. But because we haven't been adding yogurt to very many things over December, I simply haven't been making it. And I did need it for a recipe that I made at Christmas. So this is what's left over from that. It's spot on 99.100. Okay. The other thing that's really nice in this apparently is a drop of vanilla essence. Give it all a good mix. Bake it in the air fryer on air fryer mode. Or saying that actually, I'm going to try the bake setting on the air fryer. And then we'll bake it for 8 minutes. So at this point, if you've got some berries that you want to add in, that would be really nice. I've got a little bit of vanilla essence. That stuff is super potent, so it's probably a little bit too much, but I do like it. Right, let's give this a go. I'm not going to cover it up. I've got a nice crust on the top. Using the left hand side, let's try bake at 180. Oops, for 8 minutes. Let's see what happens. Right, let's have a look. Oh my goodness, how nice does that look? Let's get it out. Yum yum. Oh, it smells amazing. Right, let's get this out. Stephen got me these gloves for Christmas because he got me them some before. They're like the barbecue gloves. I can't pull them up because of my jumper. And they are so good. They are like literally just heat resistant, so good. Anyway, obviously they're a little bit big for me, but that's absolutely fine. Let's pop this back, doesn't need cleaning because nothing's been in it. And then I've got my spoon that I used the yogurt for. Oh wow, that looks really nice. Right, homemade strawberry jam. I'm going to put it'll be a tablespoon of jam in the middle. Let's get tasting. Oh my goodness, that looks nothing like regular porridge, but looks really good. Got to blow for a bit. That's really nice. Obviously, if you wanted to sweeten it up, if you're going to make it yourself, you could add some sweet things into it, drizzle honey over the top, add extra yogurt onto it, make it as luxurious as you want. This will do me for now because I'm counting calories at the moment. Right, I'm going to eat this. We've got another really busy day ahead, so let's see what we're getting up to. Well, this morning I've managed to go through the freezers. That was a task in itself. I haven't inventoried everything, which is what I wanted to do because it was just overwhelming. Oh my goodness, we've got so much stuff in there. And to add to it, Stephen has just been out shooting and brought us a brace of pheasants back, which is fantastic because the season for pheasants ends February the 1st. But for now, I've got something very glamorous to do. Well, we're back where we left off yesterday. Now, Stephen and I spent a good amount of time last night talking about this. We're going to press pause on it until next weekend. Stephen's back to work actually, so it'll only be Sunday that he gets to work outside next weekend. God knows what the weather's going to be like then, but it gives us time to just have a bit more of a think, ring around a few places and look at the most practical solution for everything that we've got here, because having the slimmer beds is much better from a practical position of being able to lean over, reach everything that's in them, harvest them, etc. But having the bigger beds gives us more planting and growing space, and we can still step into the bigger beds. But at the moment I'm kind of thinking we could use these two big ones that we've started to put the design in place for squash, pumpkins, that kind of thing, and then the long thin beds, you know, for things that might trellis, outdoor tomatoes, cucumbers, cabbages, where you could run them side by side. We don't know at the moment. We need to see what the costs are going to be for the additional wood that we need, and we're going to go from there. But in the meantime, and much happier news, we're going to christen our compost bin. Something that I want to see a lot less of is one of these supermarket bags, and a lot more of is the contents, which is going to be our own vegetable peelings from the veg plot. Here we go, Steve! I told you it was glamorous.
I tidied up a bit.
Reuse this though. Right, let's get on with some serious work.
Right, so like Tracy said, we're just going to leave that rest for a while we think on something to do and move on into the next part of the veg plot, which is going to be the new orchard slash fruit growing area. So I don't know if you've seen in the last video when we said we were going to take down all this trellis, because it is, I think we've got 3 or 4 posts already broken down by the wind, so we're going to have to replace it anyway. So just repeating myself, we're going to take it down and we're going to run it around long ways and incorporate this bit into the veg plot. I don't know if you can see, but that's where we've just come from on the other side of this trellis. So this is just, behind it is just a decorative bush, so that's coming out. There is apple trees growing up against the trellis on the other side, so we are going to try and save as many as them we can. That's why we want to do it as soon as possible. So first job we've got to get to is these trees here. Now these were probably double the height they are now. I've already chopped them down, but one of them actually a couple of years ago blew out and went straight through the fence and smashed all the fence. So that's why we cut them down to that level. So but now we're planting fruit trees and bushes in here. These really bush out in the spring and summer, and they'll just take out all the light. So all we're going to do with these is we're just going to trim all the excess bushiness off, cut them down to a, I don't know, 6 foot height, and then maybe make some nice bird tables or something to go on them, so we can hang all the bird feeders and everything on. That one, the thin one, I don't know, might do that a little bit higher, and just forget about that for now, because that doesn't actually get bushy. As you can see, there's no side shoots really coming off that. It's just these two at the either end. And then we've got a plum tree to put in. So first of all, I'm going to scalp all these, get it all tidied up, and then we've got a plum tree to plant in here.
Obviously this wood here won't go to waste. From a small holding point of view, it's just more wood for us to keep us warm in the winter. Stephen's going to take another one down there as well. And for anyone that's concerned, every tree that we're taking down, we're trying to replant. We're trying to replant with something that will actually be fruit bearing or food bearing, so that we benefit, but also nature does as well.
But anyway, which way do you want it to go?
Away from you.
There we go.
You can probably hear Stephen in the distance. When we do stuff like this in the winter and the horses are locked in the barn, we try and get them out. But these two are up to no good today. They're looking for a bit of mischief, I can tell, so I'm having to keep coming over and checking on them. The pony's looking, this one here, as if he can see something, which always makes me nervous because I don't want them to go and investigate. The fences are up, but they're not electrified, so they're usually quite respectful of them. Anyway, I'll keep coming back and checking while Stephen's enjoying himself with the chainsaw.
Right, well, we've got all the trees down to a similar height. I don't know how square they're going to be until I put something on top of them, but we might come lower. I don't know yet, but we'll leave that as that. So now we've just got to get this plum tree in. So we've just, the past few minutes, we've just had a tidy up, and we've just been talking about where everything is going to go. Now, all that trellis, like I said, is coming out. That bush is coming out. So we thought we'd put the first plum tree. We've got a Victoria plum tree there on a semi-dwarf root stock, because we like to go big on everything, but we've learned in the past that that's not always the way to go. So we've got that to make it more manageable. So that's going to go here, and then when that's took out, it'll have plenty of space. And then we're going to get another one, which is going to go, we think, about here, because we've got a massive josterberry bush just through there, which we're taking out, which will go probably just behind the plum tree there, which is plenty of space for. And we've got a not as big chokeberry bush over there, which is going to go about where Tracy stood. So the idea at the minute is plum tree, apple tree, chokeberry bush, josterberry bush, and then the apple trees that are up on against this trellis, when I change the trellis round and put it down there, we'll reroute them back onto the trellis that way. That's the plan. But we've only got one plum tree at the minute, so we'll just get that planted and then we'll go from there. This area here as well, when we moved in, this is where they used to have all the old muck heaps before we changed them around. So this ground here should be perfect and very fertile for all the trees we're planting in it. So we're expecting big things from this area.
You can always make it bigger, but you can't make it smaller, can you?
Right, that should be plenty enough support for it. The post's bigger than the tree, but it's a bit pathetic at the minute, but you know what to say. Out of little acorns, mighty oaks grow.
It's a plum tree, dear.
I know, but you know. So we'll just get it tied off and then let it fend for itself.
Well, I think that's about it from us. I, for one, cannot wait to see how well this plum tree produces, because we did have one here, but unfortunately it came down with some disease and didn't survive. So that's one fruit tree that we lost. So this is its replacement. It took us a little while to get to, but good things come to those who wait, doesn't it, Stephen?
That's what I say.
Anyway, that's probably us for now. So we will say goodbye and we'll catch up with you in another weekend vlog very soon. But in between then, we've got all of the canning videos and lots of other things to keep you entertained. So thanks for joining us.
Then what?
We'll see you later. What then?
Say what?
So thanks for joining us for this video.
See you for the next one.